Yo, what's going on, Taka Fam? Alright, so here's a cool deck profile I've been working on. Sorry, I gotta wait for the branded stuff, but sneak peek was last weekend. So I'm gonna show y'all what I put together and branded. I've been cooking in the lab, in the kitchen. I'm gonna show you. So first off, we got 3 Aluber, 3 Albaz. So even with the changes, I feel like in this format, I think we're still gonna play 3 and 3. And especially because tier is more popular now, so sometimes hard drawing this is not bad. And you wanna have 3, you don't want them to mill all of them, and then you can't play. And then for the sisters, still playing the one Quim or Quimberly. I'm still playing the Ecclesia. Like I said, tier is very popular now, once again. And of course Rescue Ace, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This is still really good because this is at least reoccurring, fusion material along with the 2 Cartesia. So 4 sisters, and them being, tuners actually can come up. Then for the other Albaz monsters, just 1 Mercurier, 1 Albion. I know in the last one I was playing 2. I didn't mind it, but I cut it for another card that I'm trying out right now. And then I'm playing 4 Bestials, so I cut it down to 1 Lubellion, 1 Magna, 1 Sauronier, and 1 Druid, of course, or Lewis Worm, as we like to call him. Alright, so like I said, tier is a lot more popular, and this is still not bad in the Unchained matchup, but they've been playing around it a little bit more. It's not very good. None of these are pretty good at all against like Rescue Ace. But if they are playing the Firewall package, this could be decent to hit some of the targets. I think Descent Worm is either a light or a dark, so it's actually not too bad in that matchup. And then it turns off a negate. And then for the Spice. Alright, playing the 1 Diabell Star. So I'm playing the Sinful Spoils engine, and I'll explain why as we get to it. But I think it actually fixes a little bit of the problems Branded has. Then for the spells, 3 fusion. We're cool with the supers too. 3 openings, so these are your, basic starters. I'm still on 3 servant even in this version, so consistency is king. You want to always be able to play, and the Sinful engine does allow you to play a little bit more. And I'll tell you about some cool interactions. I'm still on high spirits. We added another spellcaster to the deck, so we have another target to send off of this. And it could trigger Diabell Star during the opponent's turn. If you do hard draw her, you could just discard her, send Granguignol, and then she'll be able to summon herself and set a card. So it's pretty good. I'm still on 2 red. Like I said, tier is more popular now anyway, so it's actually still good. And at least forcing them to use a shuffler early on your turn and then having another one to try to use on their turn, it's not too bad. I'm still playing Brandon White because, once again, tier. And this card's actually not bad anyway, just getting free fusions. And it does come up sometimes whenever you discard it off of Albaz, so it resets itself. But the 2 busted cards in this deck, Lost and Regain. I actually still like Regain, even with the lower Bestial count. Just hard drawing this card is really good. You get to get free draws within each of the turns, and we kind of need them, especially like post side. If we decide to board in hand traps or board breakers or something, this could help you draw them, even going second. And even if you go first, you could try to draw hand traps with this card as well. I don't know if we'll play them, but still does come up. And Retribution, because we still have to play it. It's an engine requirement. And now for some of the tech choices. Things might change, but right now it's 3 Super Poly. I actually like this card a lot. And now that we're playing Witch, it definitely comes up even more because you get a free fusion, and she's pretty much a free discard. Anything that she does allows you to get free discards, free draws, and adds a little bit more consistency. And whenever you discard her, she comes back. So that's pretty good. And you kind of want to do it on the opponent's turn because that's the only way. Because you discard her, and then she sets one from deck. And then for the Sinful engine. Alright, don't roast me. but I really wanted to get this deck profile. I still need to get one more Wanted, but I've been testing it. Even with the 2, it's not too bad, but I would still like to draw it a lot more. And a lot of people don't know what this card does. And I'm not playing the original Sinful spoils because for the life of me, I couldn't find a good level 1 fire that works with branded. I'm still going to be looking and checking things out. But this card right here says you target level 7 or a higher spellcaster. It doesn't matter the attribute. And it says apply the effects in sequence. So the first effect, that monster you target is unaffected by monster effects to the end of the turn or the next turn, one of the two. Yeah, until the end of this turn, and then you gotta send it to the grave during the next standby phase. We don't care about that. That's cool, and it works in tandem with the witch anyway. But the other cool effect is also in sequence, so you'll make it unaffected, and then the next part is what makes it cool, where you get to lower all your opponent's monster's attacks based on the monster that you target. So the 2 targets that we play are the witch and of course Grand Guignol, which we'll get to that in a minute. And that is pretty good because it lowers the monster's attacks by 25. And if any of the monsters went to 0, they all nuke. So you could potentially get a board nuke during your opponent's turn. And this card's actually insane when you have it next to Lost, because you do all your fusion plays. You know how we chain block and then summon Grand Guignol under Lost. When you do Grand Guignol, you could chain this, target the Grand Guignol, lower them by 25, and then you could potentially get a Raigeki pretty much while they can't respond. So that's what makes it crazy. And if you hard draw it, it's not bad either. Just want to go ahead and point that out. Versus the original Snake Eye card, that card's not really good to draw by itself. You're not really playing a fire deck at all. So at least if you still get the Grand Guignol, you get to, make her unaffected and potentially get a nuke. And if you draw the Wanted, you can just put it back to the bottom and always search it every turn. All right, that's it for the main deck. That's 40. As always, extra deck, 2 Jade, 2 Albion, and a Lubellion. Obviously, I always say this does not change. Even for me, I don't feel like we need more. Sanctifier. So this card is really cool still. It's good to bring back the Witch during your opponent's turn if you really need to. Just in case if you want to get the Celia alive. So you could set it, bring back the Witch, do the whole effect or whatever. It's pretty cool. So what you could do is if you have like Saronir and her in the grave, you could use this, target the Saronir and the Witch, give yourself the Witch, and then give them the Saronir while you have this. So whenever you interrupt them, you get to use this, make her unaffected, and then potentially nuke. Since this is 25 and this is 25, you know this is guaranteed going to be 0. So you just send this, and then you get a free dump during their turn too. So that's pretty cool. And Alba, dragons aren't really too popular, but Vanadium's been, pretty popular. Sometimes they end up dragons, but for the most part, they just kind of try to kill you for free. So you want to try to set up something cool so that they can't really like break it, because if they could break a tier board, they could break our board. Our board is sticky, yes, but it's not going to matter. We're not going to get to the end phase to nuke them if they could just break it and just kill us. So we're going to try to work on fixing that as well. Titanclad is still really good. Good off in the Deer Servant, and it summons Quinn, so that's what matters. Rimbram, this is not a Chimera deck, but, this is Rimbram's home. Unfortunately, he's the brother that sits in the background in this deck most times, because we just use him for Jade fodder. Dust Dragon. This is a lot more important in this version, because you still want to use and abuse her, because I do still play a target for this card, but having this with Celia is really good, just making her unaffected. So if they try to imperm her to try to stop you, because post-side you could do like the puppy lock or whatever, you can make this unaffected by monster effects or whatever, and then still get a board nuke. So it's pretty cool. Chimera, this is standard. And at least with the second red, it's going to come up a lot more often. And then for my super poly targets, I'm playing Garura and Mud Dragon. There's some other stuff that I'm cooking right now with these cards, but for now with the super poly, this is really good and it comes up. And I feel like we need as many like breakers as possible to try to stop people, whether we go first or second. And then Lulu. You can actually synchro that sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Like I said, I want to get a third one of these. I'll be working on doing that. But adding a lot more consistency to the deck is pretty important, because that's something this deck lacks. And instead of playing like Prosperity and stuff like that, you can use Garuras to try to get draws, use Big Albion, use this to try to get draws. So these pretty much help you a lot of the time. There's not really too much to say. It is branded, but I definitely want to make some room in the deck, kind of working on it, playing cards like Droplet back again, because Droplet is actually super good in this deck. And at least if we have Droplet, it's really good with the Witch, because like I said, you Droplet them during their turn, you just use her to get the bricks out of your hand, which is the main reason why we play it. Get the bricks out of your hand and get a free body, and then get a free set. So even if you draw the Celia, you can still just set this as well. You can set one of the two, and at least this, you can banish this to get this. And you can send this off Brand Diffusion if you need. Send it off Brand Diffusion just so you can add it back with this or something like that if you want to make Lubellion and also get cards out of your hand. But yeah, that's it for the deck profile, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. It's actually pretty interesting, and I think we have a decent, position in the meta, because a lot of people are cutting barriers and stuff like that, because Rescue Ace is, a monster. It is starting to take over. That deck still does have some bricking problems, but it bricks a lot less. So what we want to do is try to outpace them and try to kill them as fast as we can, and use as many breakers and stuff to stop them, because hand traps don't do very well in this deck, to be honest, unfortunately, even post side. But there is one card I want to talk about before I let y'all go. And we do play this one. The original, the Subversion Snake Eye, is actually really good, because post side, we just side this in whenever we're going second so that we can push a monster to the back row. Or like I like to say, don't at me at this, but activate this, target a monster, tell them to get to the back of the bus. All right, y'all. Peace.